So again, welcome to this session of coaching in the Americas region with different firms from Grant Thornton. Today, we are going to be facilitating this session. Along with me is Yolanda Valencia. She is in Mexico, in the capital city of Mexico, and I myself I'm in Puerto Rico, a little island in the Caribbean. And together we're going to be facilitating this session. The first thing that we're going to be doing is, introduce ourselves and let you know what is it that we want to achieve with you today. So Yolanda, would you like to talk a little bit about yourself?
Yes, sure. Thank you, Maria. Welcome, everyone. My name is Yolanda Valencia. I am a partner in Business Process Solution Division in Grant Thornton, Mexico. I have been working from Grant Thornton since 2003, so I have 15 years working for this wonderful organization. I am coaching in a fractional level. I'm happy. I'm very excited to have the opportunity to participate in this EMCC Global Summit. So we are going to have a very interesting conversation about coaching with all of you. So I know that today is Friday and we have people from different time zones. So thank you very much to be here with us. And let's start.
Thank you, Yolanda. And from my side, I'm María de los Ángeles Rivera. I'm a tax partner with Kibane Grant Thornton, which is the member firm in Puerto Rico. I've been with Kibane for almost 25 years now, and always in the tax practice. Some things about myself, in addition to tax, which I love, and I've been very passionate about it. I also like to travel, which for the last couple of years has been a bit limited, and just eager, to be able to jump in the plane again and start visiting all those nice places like Sao Paulo, England, Brussels, Belgium, everywhere. Saudi Arabia might be in that bucket list someday. So hopefully we'll be able to do that. And also I like to do a scrapbooking and cards. So that's my hobby and my pressure release. Do a little bit of handicrafts. Once in a while. So what's the purpose of this session today? So we want to give us the opportunity, to talk about coaching in our firm as well as in your firm or in your practice if you practice coaching, by yourselves. And we want to hear about, your experiences, especially in the last couple of years on coaching. As part of the session, we'll start, using some coaching techniques to get in the coaching mindset before we jump in the group discussion that we have prepared for you today. But before that, moving forward, we want to talk a little bit about Grant Thornton for those of you who do not know Grant Thornton. So, Yolanda, can you tell us a little bit about who we are?
Yes, sure, Maria. So who is Grant Thornton? We are one of the largest organizations or networks around the world for independent accounting and consulting members firms. We have in 2020 5.7 billion US dollars as a revenue. We have offices around the world. We have 58,000 people in our teams. We have 750 offices, and we are in 138 countries. As you can see in the slide, we have offices in the main countries and cities around the world. We are in Americas, in Europe, in Africa, in Middle East, in Asia Pacific. So that allows us to provide to our customers global experience of services. and provide services mainly in around the world. So when our customers has offices, we are able to provide services. So this is part of who we are, and Maria is going to continue talking about us.
Yeah, thank you, Yolanda. And going a little bit more into the details in the next slide, we can see that the two largest regions for Grant Thornton are Europe and America and the Americas, where we have 42 offices or countries, 42 countries in Europe and 36 countries in the Americas. Over 80% of our clients understand that the services they receive from us are top level, are the services that they need and that they want. We are full accounting service firms almost all around the world, with the assurance practice being the largest one, audited financial statement and anything that has to do with assurance and financial statements. And then we have the advisory, the business advisory practice and the tax practice, who are steadily growing, through the years. And of course, there are firms that provide different types of services like outsourcing, BPS, and other type of services that our client needs. As part of this network, and as Yolanda mentioned, we are all around the world, more than 138 countries and counting. This information is as of September last year. Hopefully, very soon before the year end, we are going to get the current information for 2021. But you can see there some of the awards that we have received in the past, and we are very proud of being elected or selected as a global employer for tax diversity, for diversity, not tax diversity, for diversity and inclusion in 2019 by Universium, as well as one of the most attractive employers for many, many years, again by Universium. And one award that is not there, which because it was obtained last year after these slides were prepared, is that the EMCC awarded the network with the 2020 Global Coaching Award, because of the exceptional coaching program that the network has been developing and giving throughout all the regions. And Yolanda and myself are recent graduates of the America's first session of the ECP, the Exceptional Coach Program, that was conducted for a full year, and ended in just this past October of 2021. So we are very proud of having been the recipients of this award from the EMCC. And again, very honored and proud to be here with you today to talk a little bit about, this program, the ECP program, how we apply it in our firms, and do a little bit of a coaching exercise. All right. So what is it that how we can see coaching in a firm, in a CPA firm? Like both Yolanda and myself are professionals. As she mentioned, she works in the BPS or the business process, division of the firm. I'm a tax partner by training and by practice. And you might ask yourself how we end up being coaches. And again, it's a culture that we're developing. Javier, if you want to move the slide, please. It's a coaching culture that we're developing in the firms around the world, because again, and this has been emphasized because of the situations and the crisis that we have been dealing with in the last couple of years, especially because of the pandemic, where we want to create psychologically safe thinking environments for our people. Again, we are a service provider, and our most important asset is our people. So this program, it's addressed and directed to our people, and provide that safe environment for our people, to strengthen the importance of coaching for connection and well-being, and to think about the opportunities of coaching beyond borders. As you saw in the previous slides when we talked about Grant Thornton, you saw that we are all over the place, and the virtual situation in which we are right now opens up a lot of opportunities for us, especially in coaching beyond our borders, from Puerto Rico to Mexico or to Spain or London, UK. Not only concentrating ourselves into Puerto Rico. And Yolanda is going to talk a little bit more about the program, how it works. So moving forward to the next slide, Yolanda.
Yes, thank you, Maria. Well, how is our coaching culture in Grand Thornton? So we, as Maria mentioned, we are part of exceptional coach program in our organization. What we has been doing is, first of all, we start to training our teams, the heads and or leads of our teams, because we consider that the most important way to transfer this coaching culture with our teams is through the example. So we have started with this training for the partners around the world, as Maria mentioned. In our different offices that we have we have start with the training, and we have the first generations in, I think this is the second one, about the program. And this is a very interesting thing, because when you talk about well, how an accountant firm apply coaching is very interesting. So what we have started to apply as a part of our daily activities. So we have now, as part of our goals, have these coaching sessions with our teams. So to give 90 minutes with them, have six sessions in order to support them to unlock their potentials and maximize their skills that they have. So now this is part of the activities that we do in a normal way, and that we start to show how has a benefit, because it's a fact that with the coaching, we are able, first of all, with the leads and heads, that allow us to transform our vision and improve our leadership with the knowledge that we have obtained in these training sessions. And first of all, start to transform our lives, because it's not only for technical or professional aspects. Coaching also has an impact in personal lives of our leads. So that is something very important. And also it allows us to have just one leadership culture globally. So now we have the opportunity to be active listeners with our teams, to be able to listen them very careful, to start to avoid to be worried about to have the control of all the details, and just be aware that we are not going to have always the answer for everything. That so it is good not have the answer. That each one is going to have their own solutions for the different situations, and to allow our teams to express themselves without any judgment, and just to push to be reflective about the different situations that they could have. And the most important impact, I'm going to say, from my point of view, is this transformation in the leadership and the productivity of our teams, because as Maria mentioned at the very beginning, the most important asset in our organization is our people, and we have so the improvements that coaching has have in our daily work. So that is very good for us, and for that reason, we want to share today our experience about coaching in our organization, and we are going to talk after about your experiences. So this is one of the things that we want to share with all of you. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you, Yolanda. And from my side, again, this has been a very interesting year, going through the program and learning all the tools that we can put into place in practice with our people and with our clients also. And it, as Yolanda mentioned, is, becoming active listeners at the beginning. That was kind of the hardest part, because being trained to have always the answers and having the solutions for our people and our clients is very hard to hold on, and don't get the answers or what you think the answer is out, but wait and listen, and to realize after a while that the answers that our people or our clients are looking for, they have them already. They just have to be aware that they have the answers with them. And the way we get to that point is by making the questions, the open-ended questions that we are trained to and practice to get them to the point where they can realize, they can have their aha moment, as they call it, and realize that they had the answer all the time. Another way that, in addition to the formal coaching sessions that we had to do, as part of the program, and now specifically in my firm, we're moving into a different type of assessment, performance assessment to our people, where it's not going to be only a checklist of gradings of skills, technical skills or people skills, where we graded them from 1 to 3. Now we are moving into a more type of a coaching type of assessment, where yes, there are going to be some assessments of technical skills, but through coaching techniques, we're going to help our people develop and get those answers they're looking for. That's one way we're going to be, introducing coaching techniques to our performance assessments, starting this year. And then another way that I'm kind of, informally getting into the coaching spirit is, usually our staff, our seniors, our managers will come with questions or problems they have in a situation, expecting us to give them the answer or the solution. So instead of giving them the answer or the solution, I'll just get back to them with another question, and put them into the thinking mode, and exercising, their thinking skills, so they can get to the answer they're looking for, instead of, me giving them, the answer. One very special case we had this year was a girl, a lady that we wanted to promote to manager, and she had expressed that she didn't want to be promoted to manager, and she had all the, necessary skills, both technical and people skill, to be a manager. So we just had a session with her, again asking questions, and she got to the conclusions that she didn't want to be promoted to a manager, not because she didn't have the skills or anything, but because she felt she was not ready for it. So through the questioning and the conversation that we were able to develop, she was convinced that that yeah, she could be a good manager, and then she decided to accept her promotion. So that's one example of how we at the firm we are practicing our coaching, coaching skills and tools that we have acquired through the program. So moving on, and as a framework to our exercise that we're going to be working on, I would like you to start getting in a coaching mindset now. I know for some of you it's kind of late, but let's just write in the chat good questions, good coaching questions, and let's start getting in that coaching mindset. So if you don't mind, we would like you to write in the chat a coaching question that you might come up with.
We have the first one
Mhm.
from Steve about what's stopping you. It's a really good question.
Mhm. Thank you, Steve.
Okay, that's all right.
Who
It's one I
else?
often ask.
Mhm.
In my opinion, sometimes the best question is just to be silent.
Right? And and again, for me during this process of the coaching program and everything, at the beginning that was kind of the hardest thing, to stay quiet and give space to the other person, to the coachee, to think and be able to come up with the answer to the question we just have asked. Great, thank you.
Also, I think sometimes your presence says to the client, if you sort of cultivate a feeling of psychological safety just by your presence, your manner, and how you've built rapport, you've introduced yourself. Sometimes coaching sessions, you don't say much. Well, certainly I don't say much. But just because I'm there, some clients have said, I wouldn't have said all this and thought it through without you being there. So presence can be very important.
And Steve, you mentioned something about rapport, which is also very important, because you have to build that trust with the other person, with the client or the coachee, in our case with our people. Have the trust, have them have the trust that they can talk to you, and be able to express themselves without judgment, and because we just doing this to help them, achieve all of their potential.
So can I ask a question now?
Sure.
And it's sort of it's quite interesting, the presentation so far. I coach people who I'm not in their organization. So the first thing I would say to them, or sort of how we build rapport, is I've got nothing to do with your performance management. So how do you sort of overcome, or do you need to overcome reservations because you may know or may be their manager?
And that's a very good question. And up to now, our during the program, we have been asked to coach people which we do not directly supervise.
Yeah.
Okay, which for me was very interesting. I'm a tax partner, and I've coached audit managers and senior managers and advisory managers, and that gives them, both of us, a different perspective. Again, I'm not their supervisor, of course. I'm a partner, and there's certain things that still we might not be able to touch on. But the sessions we had, we had our contract at the beginning, and everything, the contract was that everything was confidential.
Yeah.
Unless, as I told my coaches, unless you tell me you killed somebody last night, I would have to tell on you. But besides that, everything is confidential, and we did that contracting and that review every session.
Yes.
Okay, so that also helped them, build the trust, in what we were gonna be doing. But you're correct, and as a matter of fact, a lot of the firms are gonna be doing a combination of outside and inside coaching because of that, because of the possible conflicts that might arise. But
Yeah.
as of to now, today, for example, for me, I have been coaching people that I do not directly supervise.
Yeah, that's interesting. So you've actually seen, let's see, the possible sort of barriers that could come about, because that's something I've thought about quite often.
Mm-hmm.
If you're
Yeah,
not neutral, if they don't see you as neutral.
mm-hmm, right. And we're working on that. Of course, it's a working program.
Yeah.
But basically, I think this one of the solutions would be the combination of inside and outside coaching.
Mm.
Also, Yolanda, I don't know if you want to share some of what you have done.
Yes, in my experience, it was it was the first time that I started to apply coaching. So we apply the same criteria. So we coach people that don't work directly with us, with me. And at the beginning, it was, I think I was concerned because I didn't know nothing about the other and just to start with the coaching program. But then with the tools that we learn during the coaching programs, help me to just to do these key questions and start the coaching program with our coaches. And I was very surprised because the first time that I conclude the coaching sessions, I was allowed to see how the powerful of the coaching. So how through coaching I was able to help others or my coachee to unlock or face their fears. So I think it's very interesting. And then when I start to do it with another coaches, I saw that why in the coaching you are not going to have the answer because you only are able to make questions because each of one we are very different. We have different situations, different feelings, and that makes us so to have our own answers. So it's part of the experiences that I have. I think Emmanuel is going to do a question.
Okay, so good evening, everyone.
Hi.
So good evening, everybody. I hope it is evening on your time. My side is it's about 10 p.m. So
Okay.
I want to thank you for the excellent presentation, and I just want to share some experiences. I have been in the corporate world for about 25 years, and we try to implement the coaching culture, and we with a vision to transform the leaders to coaches and to be able to have an effective workforce. And I want to share and I want to ask your experience there because most of the leaders, most oftentimes are technical people, who are, like Steve said shortly ago, have their KPIs. And of course, we are day by day experiencing lots of leadership crises in different organizations, and so I don't know what is your experience in Grand Thornton. How do you transform all the leaders to become because like you said, and what is more important in every coaching conversation is that creating that psychological safe space, and you allow the people to be able to open up and be able to share. So how do you unlock that strength in all your leaders, that they're able to play that role and be able to listen? Someone said I was hearing that the biggest question is keeping silence.
Right.
And oftentimes, so how do you do that in your organization to be able to transform all these technical people who are occupying leadership position, but not really having all leadership traits?
Yeah, thank you, Emmanuel. And it's a very big challenge. Again, we have been trained, technically trained, and to deliver our whatever is that we are being, doing. So in order to change that culture, as we mentioned, we are undergoing these training sessions, which last a year, through all the regions of the network, the Americas, the Europe, and Asia Pacific. And now I understand there's one cohort going exclusively in India. India is one of our largest firms. So we are developing this program, the Exceptional Coaching Program, and training leaders, training partners, senior managers, directors to be, good listeners, active listeners, and then go back to their firms and share, this knowledge, and share these new tools and so forth. And as I mentioned before, in our firm in Puerto Rico, and I think this is a program that is going to be deployed in all the firms, our performance assessments, we're changing the tools for our performance assessment in order to start using the coaching techniques with our people. Start listening to their goals, helping them establishing the goals, and providing them, that space to be able to do that. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. Again, as you saw in one of the slides, we are 58,000 people around the world. So we're working on that, and the goal is, again, to provide that safe space, that safe environment for our people to express themselves and unlock all their potentials. So it's our goal, to train and have all the leaders, with that mindset. Okay. Thank you all for your inputs, for your questions. Great questions in the chat, but we need to move on. And what we're going to be doing now is we're going to divide the group in smaller groups. I think we might be able to have, let me see how many people we have. We have 8, so probably, Javier, 2 groups. Before that, Emmanuel, you still have your hand up? Is that from before? Thank you. So great, thank you. So Javier is gonna split all of us into 2 groups. And what we wanna do in those groups is, first of all, once you get to your breakout room, you between yourselves, you choose one person who's gonna be like the note keeper, the person, taking notes of the conversation that are going on. And what we're gonna do is someone in the group will ask a question, and without, giving the answer, wait for another person in the group to answer the question, and that same person will come up with another question. Okay? It is okay to say, I don't have an answer right now, but then after that, come up with the next question. So once the exercise will end once everybody has had the opportunity to ask a question and give an answer. Okay? So when everybody has done that, take time to identify topics or themes that came out on the discussion, and we're gonna give you, the pinpoint for the conversation. And is that what you're seeing there? We're gonna be writing up that on the chats on the break room, so you can make reference to that. And basically, we want to know about what are your experiences of coaching in your organization, country, or region. Specifically, the significance of coaching for well-being and connection in your organization and practice. And we can have as a framework, what has happened with the pandemic and the impact or effect that has had on your coaching. So what we're going to do is ask the coaching question. allow the next person to answer before that person asks their own question. Okay, Yolanda and myself will show how this could go. Okay, it's anybody's game, so it can go anywhere. But I can ask Yolanda a question. How has the pandemic shaped what topics you coach on?
It has been a challenge because everything is virtual, and we lost the personal interaction. However, after almost 1.5 years, we learned to work virtually, and uh, we have the opportunity to be in contact with not only with people in our organization, also in other countries. So that has been a good experience, and so it's part of the things that we have to face during the pandemic. For one side, to have interaction with people that probably you never thought for another countries, but at the same time, just this feeling that you are not in contact with the person directly. So it's part of the things that we are facing. And my question is, what has been the best experience that you have had in your organization with coaching practice?
That's a very interesting question, and I think the most interesting thing is with one of my coaches that one of the exercises we did was the wheel of life, and he came out to realize that those areas in which he felt higher, with most satisfied with those were those areas in which he had done plans and review the plans and goals and stick to them. So that for me that was really interesting because he realized that the need to have goals and to have plans and work through them. So that was very interesting. My question would be, what does coaching look like post pandemic? And then you take it from there. You can go and keep asking the questions and providing the answers. Okay, so we're gonna have around, let's say, 20 minutes or so. We're gonna break you in the different breakouts. I think we have 6 people, so we'll have 3 and 3 probably. Yolanda and myself will be around. Will not be part of the group, so that we give you uh, freedom to run the exercise. And again, we're gonna be posting these questions in the chat. Please, the note keeper, keep notes and be alert of the different topics that come about in the discussion, and we'll then come back to the main session and do a debrief of your sessions. Any questions before we go? No? So we're good to go? So Javier, take us there. So let's have a debrief, and if you want to share on the chat the topics or feedback from the session, or if you want to open your mics and talk about how it went.
Okay, I'd like to. I think this conversation that we had deserves to be shared. Tatiana, I think Tatiana has such an amazing point of view of life. Um, and it was Tatiana and Emmanuel and myself in the break room. So Tatiana was saying that coaching is about transformation. She believes that it's sensory oriented, obviously to create space, to listen, and coaching Let me see if I get it right, because this was very deep. You know what, Tatiana, take the floor, please, on this one. So the universe, if you can take the floor on the universe part, because I think everybody's gonna love it.
I just said that, in my opinion, when the client came to us, it's always every human being. It's like universe, and we are universe, and the client it's universe, and we never know the rules, laws which exist in this universe, and it's so exciting because of it. Just when we just say create the presence and say space for transformation in the universe, and we have some kind of interconnection and so on, but it's huge, it's really really amazing, and I love coaching because of it.
Yep. And the one last thing that she said is that questions should not be around us trying to understand the client, but instead ask the right questions so that the client can understand and improve their awareness of the situation, not ours.
And I think that's key, and that's great. It's the way I see it. It's and the way we see it is not about us. It's about them.
Yes, yes.
You know. So it's all about making the questions for them to understand. You know, or get to their answers. As I love that metaphor, Tatiana, about the universe and you know universe, we think of universe. When we think about universe, we think about infinite things, you know, with no limits. And again, if we see each one of our coaches as a different universe, I mean that opens a whole sort of possibilities, right? You know, two things from that one is that, you know, the universe thing, everybody is different and has its own uh things going on. You know, it's as you said, it's their own laws, you know, each universe. But the other thing is that it's always about them, always about the coachee.
Yeah.
Don't try to drive the conversation to where you think it should go, but let them drive it and see where it go. And we experienced some of that during our sessions, and our other fellow coaches that were taking the program with us, where you know, we would like plan the session. We know what we're gonna be doing, or what tools we're gonna be using. And when we had the session, it went a different route, completely different route, because we let, you know, the coachee take it.
That is why I think as coaches, when we have this perspective, it should make us humble, because that I have several years of experience does not really matter, because the perspective that is coming, I've never experienced it. So that
Right.
will make me to be humble and be able to listen and allow the client to be able to explore himself over and over till he comes to a point of awareness.
Great. Thank you. What else?
We largely talked about what it's been like to coach. Have there been any differences, any challenges during COVID restrictions? Sarah was always quite used to using video, online kind of coaching, whereas my preference had always been face to face. But I found I've learned a lot about myself, been more creative by using technology, and also I've widened the range of clients I've coached.
Mm-hmm.
Not just the ones I could travel to, but ones who have now sort of come to me from different parts of the world. But also not to see that the phrase that I use, the camera is holding us hostage. If we have a camera, we can still do similar things to how we were coaching face to face in a room with a client. We can still encourage movement. We can still use, as Thomas put it, Gestalt techniques of moving around between chairs, or for me, NLP techniques of perceptual positions. So that can all be done just dependent on the space, but coaching doesn't have to be because it's a camera somebody just pinned in front of you.
Great. Great. And I don't know if you were able to join Sam Isaacson, I think is his last name. He's from Grand Thornton, UK. He had a session on Monday on coaching in the digital era.
I've been to
Which,
one of those sessions before.
I mean, and it was very interesting, and just want to learn more about it. You know, all the tools and everything that you need. But what you say, it's so true. You know, most of my coaching sessions this year were virtual. You know, because of the pandemic, we are 100% working out of the office, and being creative and finding ways to be able to connect, even, you know, through the camera. You know, at the beginning was kind of a challenge, but you know, as time went by, you know, it was like, you know, second nature. You know, I had like 3 sessions face to face, because I was able to meet with one of my coaches at the office. He was going to the office, and we met there, and I really didn't notice too much of a difference, you know, from the virtual to the face to face. And I guess because of I don't know, the rapport that was built up, and the way the sessions, you know, were done, it really went really, you know, very similar. So I really felt good about it, because, you know, I was thinking, oh, I wish I can do this face to face, but I thought, I concluded that, you know, it was working virtual also.
Yeah.
So that's my take on that. You know, again, we will have to virtuality, as you mentioned, Steve, gives you the opportunity to cross borders.
Absolutely,
You know,
yes, yeah.
and do this with people that you would have never done before. Like in our case, you know, what we see is that we have the ability to coach, you know, people and staff in other firms, you know, across the globe. So that's one of the advantage, of course, of technology. And as you say, just we need to be more creative and make it work.
Absolutely. Also, that something we touched on, that looking in a camera, looking at somebody and trying to read their body language or micro behaviors can be quite energy draining.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I've shortened the time that I coach a person. Face to face in the same room, because we're moving and we're definitely not hostage to a camera. That's a bit more invigorating and I find energizing.
Mm-hmm.
So just on camera, I can find quite tiring. Maybe that
Okay.
says something about my learning style, my own personality, my own sort of neurodifference or whatever. But that's something I've realized about myself. I've realized a lot about myself.
Good. And again, you know, each one is of us is a universe, as Tatiana mentioned, and you know, what works for you maybe doesn't work for me, but it might work for Thomas. So it's a matter of finding, you know, your best fit, and make it happen.
Absolutely.
Who else? Who wants to share something else?
I can just share something which I haven't shared with my group because I joined quite late. But I belong to a group where we do coaching supervision, and our supervisor is basically having like 6 of us in the group, and actually it's very interesting and very efficient in the end, because we cover a lot of things. Everybody comes from different environment, and it works in that kind of situation. So it would be difficult to get all 6 people together, and on individual basis it wouldn't be as rich as it is with everybody's experience on board. So
Great, thank you. And that has been our experience also. We, during our program, we have people, all the way from Canada to, South America. And by the magic of technology, we were all in the same room, during our programs and our supervision sessions also. And to be able to share, with people from other countries, their experiences and what they're doing. I mean, before you had to, jump in a plane, plan the trip to wherever we were gonna go. You will probably spend a week out, and all the other things. On the contrary, when you travel, again, I said at the beginning, I love to travel. You experience, and that's also good. So I think we, each one has its benefits and shortcuts, and shortfalls, but again, it's a matter of doing the best we can with what we have, right? And again, it's all about the coachee and making them flourish and grow, right? Yolanda, you were in one of the rooms. Do you have any comments?
I was with Sarah, Thomas, and Steve. So we was having an interesting conversation about how we look the coaching in during the pandemic. So something very interesting is that each one of us have a different perspective about how the coaching works in a virtual space. And the conclusion was that at the end is an efficient way, because Sarah, she's here. She has having some issues with her computer, but for example, she mentioned that she allowed to avoid to transport from one point to another and save time and have more efficient sessions. Because this is she is in Brazil, so the time to move from one place to another is very consumer. So it's part of I think benefits, and as you mentioned, to have interaction with people for another countries, just in line what we are doing right now. So is a rich experience because you can hear different experiences or opinions, and you don't need to have an extra cost for travel and invest a lot of time.
Yeah, thank you. I think we have a couple of minutes. If anybody else wants to share something that you had in your mind and were not able to communicate in the group before we beam you out of the group.
Maria, I have a question for Thomas. So he mentioned that he's working in a hospital, if I'm not wrong. So I'm just curious to ask how coaching feels with a team in a hospital, because I understand that it's also working with humans. So I saw that is a lot of activities there with probably audience situations. So how that works there?
you see, my take about that question is that we are, as medical professionals, I am myself, I am interventional cardiologist. I normally dig in someone's arteries, okay, up blocked arteries. Then I was for 3 years a clinic head, service director for my department, which is quite big, 300 people with 20 very enthusiastic and professional and a little bit stubborn, British consultants, basically. So, and I am originally coming from Estonia, and I'm a little bit like this EU citizen here, my country here, but I get really well along with them. The problem is that we are also enthusiastic about our job and absolute like perfectionists, and also people have very big egos. So you can shoot from your hip and still, hit the target, because they just have very big difficulties to be honest and tell that, okay, I'm tired, I'm stretched, I'm overwhelmed, I am going closer to burnout, and many people are then, and professionals and my colleagues are struggling with that, and just to get them to this simple, it's not simple for them obviously, but for us it is simple to say that, okay, just be vulnerable and show your emotions. They cannot do it. You have to teach them how to do that. And to do that, you have to be vulnerable at first. And it is a very slow process, and there is no such coaching culture in the leadership. And the leadership is pretty much like managerially led and clinically supported. And that brings us to a kind of very hierarchic situation where actually there is a telling culture and there is no coaching culture. Instead of let's say we have a problem, my chief comes to me and asks me or tells me, okay, you have to do this and that because this is now code red or something, or we have a difficult situation or challenges. Instead, if my boss would come to me and ask me, Thomas, if you would be the most resourceful person, how would you solve this problem what we have currently? That would make a huge difference, but it's not happening yet. And I am trying to then kind of be compassionate and implement, inject this way of thinking into people, and also having some lectures and talks about that. And there are some people who are actually supporting me from the management, but it's a slow process. So, and it has to be overwhelmingly from the management to the workshop floor, otherwise it won't work. So everybody needs to be on the same wavelength, but it seems to be a very slow process. So that's I'm not giving up my hope, and I have some in-house internal coaching clients at the moment. I'm not getting paid for them, obviously extra, but they have all these kind of power play related topics. Communication is bad, and I think all the problems on this planet come more or less from too little communication or too much communication. So how to find the balance is difficult, and yeah. So that's where I am.
Thank you, Thomas. And I think you were not here when Emmanuel asked us, Yolanda and myself, how we were, in an accounting firm, dealing with getting to a culture of coaching, having all the leaders, because he has similar challenges where he works, and our answer was that we're working on that. We're training our leaders, creating this coaching culture from top to bottom, because it has to come from the top, of course, and developing coaches and spreading the word about coaching and how that will be better for all of us, our people and us, and also inserting coaching techniques into the performance assessments of our people. So it's something that is again, for us, it's not going to happen from overnight. It's something that needs to be built upon. But we are betting on that. We'll get there. We're having these programs throughout the network. In the different regions, one or twice a year. In each region. So we're starting to build up that momentum. But again, we feel you, we understand you, even though you're dealing with life and death things, matters. We're dealing with numbers and tax returns and and taxes, but But again, we feel you because we're going through the same process. Well, we're kind of running out of time. If we move forward to our last slide, Yolanda, you want to take us there?
Yes, we was thinking how to close the presentation, and we found this. I just want to going to read because we think it's part of the important points as a transformation. So says change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones we have been waiting for. We are the change we think. So we think this is applicable in our cases that we are implementing coaching in our organizations, and just to be open and to be aware that the change is going to start with us. So this is a part of this big transformation that coaching support. So thank you very much for your time. And we know that it's very late in UK. So thanks to be here and participate today with us.
Yeah, thank you. Great quote, Yolanda, and summarizes what we're trying to do. Again, thank you from Yolanda and myself from Grant Thornton. Thank you all for joining us tonight, in this session. And you have our information in the timetable, so you can, feel free to contact us, if you want to chat or talk about anything coaching. We will be glad to talk with you. So again, thank you very much, and you have a nice day, nice afternoon, or nice evening. Bye-bye.
Bye. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Night.
Good night.
Nice to meet you. Good night.